World. This is Mark from Los Angeles of Neon Faith. You know what? I just want to tell you a story. I want to keep this channel light for you and maybe I can make you smile so we can relate. I think we have a lot of if you are into music technology, you wanted to be in a band, you love synthesizers, samplers, computers, sequencers, maybe we can relate of how we started. And my story is just that how I got into synthesizers. Grab a coffee, tea, juice box, whatever you got. Beer, wine. Chillax a little bit. Take a break from the studio. Your ears need rest. Why am I telling you this? Well, I was 11 years old. This is how I got into the synthesizer. Why am I telling you this? This is how I got into synthesizers. It happened in a car on a family trip going into Coachella City or Indio. Two songs, and my brain never came back the same from that trip ever. I was 11 years old. My dad was a chemist, and he won Employee of the Year. The prize, he won cash bonus. At the same time, he was told to pick up this computer called the Commodore 64. I don't know what that was at that time. I knew I've heard it before from my brother, but it wasn't registering to me yet. I wasn't interested. Back then, when I was 11, I was into school and girls. Now, in order to pick up this computer, the Commodore 64, we need to go back. We need to drive to all the way out there to Coachella. My dad said, we are leaving on Saturday. Sister Sandy is going to be driving us to go to Indio to pick up my computer. So it was myself, my brother, Ray, who I love, and my sister Sandy, who drove us there, and my dad. It was early October. It was 110 degrees, blazing hot. Air conditioner was on, thankfully, but the car felt like a moving microwave. It was so hot. Somewhere along the way, so it takes about 2.5 hours to get from LA to Indio, California. Somewhere on the freeway, looking at the windmills. We're now passing by the windmills. My brother, Ray, very casually hands me his Walkman, and then he puts his headset into my head. He says, "Hey, listen to this." He presses play. It was loud. It was the song by Depeche Mode called "Just Can't Get Enough." Yeah, "Just Can't Get Enough." I listened to it all, and I felt paralyzed because when I first heard the first riff, and the tune, the whole tune, somehow I felt paralyzed. I didn't know what to say because I was so, what am I listening to? There's no real instruments here. There's no guitars. It was all this sound, these weird sounds. But it was so cool. The song was cool. I am now curious. The next song was called Get the Balance Right. And I said, wow, this is amazing. Again, like how was this song made? And then I go back to listen to Just Can't Get Enough again. My brother took a nap already, so I have his Walkman so I can take advantage and listen to these two songs. Every time the Just Can't Get Enough riff would hit, I swear, man, like neon poured directly into my brain. It felt like someone booted up the future for me. And then going back to the song "Get the Balance Right," there's this one sequence in there in the beginning, and I said, "Wow, I never heard anything like this. Is this even played by a human being?" Because the sound was catchy. It wasn't just catchy; it was catchy, snappy. It was clockwork-like, mathematical, also mysterious, like Church for Robots. So we finally get to Indio, California. It was so hot, even more hotter. My dad's glowing to get his computer. We went inside, air conditioner, thank God. I sat down while they fill out some forms and they were waiting for his computer to be pulled out from the back. I didn't. I was in a different world. I'm still listening to that song, Just Can't Get Enough, in my head now. The Walkman is in the car. I'm still deep in this synthesizer trance that song, nodding politely while mentally rewinding the solo of that song in my head, if that makes sense. So we get the computer, they release it to us. I put the computer in the back and asked my brother coming back, as my sister drove, "Hey, let me borrow your Walkman again." He says, "Hey, the battery's about to run out." I said, "Please let me borrow it again." So he lets me borrow it. He was a giving guy, and so I listened to it and like rewinded all the way back to Just Can't Get Enough. And I remember the riff, but there's one solo in there that really just changed everything for me. It's this solo right here. That I kept rewinding. I kept on rewinding that, forwarding it, rewinding it back just to listen to that hook. And then I listened to the next track, which was Get the Balance Right, which is also very good. I love it. It was so new to me. I never heard of anything like that before. But I was so excited because in my head, I was asking myself, how was this music made? I didn't hear any guitars. I didn't hear real instruments. The drums didn't sound like a drum. It was just different, but it sounded so cool. We got home. My dad hooked up my brother hooked up the computer to the TV. Now I'm there physically, but mentally, I was high on the music. I was thinking about the that synthesizer sound and this band called Depeche Mode that I heard of before, but not to this extent. Only two songs, and I'm hooked. I wanted to know more. I wanted to hear more. So my dad asked me, "Why do you keep listening to the same song over and over?" I just told him the truth. "Dad, have you heard of anything like this?" I played him the song. "I'm going to figure this out, Dad, because I don't know what sound it is. How was it made? I don't even think it was made by humans. Something else is going on here." He said this word. "Oh, that's a synthesizer in Filipino accent." He said it, the word synthesizer. I'm like, huh? I was still at 11, and but he was right. And I remember going to sleep that night. That I was obsessed. I was already obsessed, but excited at the same time. And I realized, or I thought, that when I turned 12, just a few months later, and I got more into Depeche Mode because my brother bought two more tapes from them in January in the new year, catching up with Depeche Mode and People Are People on tape. And for the whole year, when I was 12, all the way to December, my birthday, December 22. That's all I listened to those two tapes. I studied it, and I was it just that was my that was my soundtrack at the age of 12. So listening to at the age of 12, listening to People Are People and construction and not construction time again, catching up, I said to myself, I want to figure out how this music works, and I want to be in a band like this. I want to be in a band like this. So I decided I want to be in a band like that. But I didn't know how to make music like that. I didn't know how music was made like that with that kind of style. I had no idea. But I knew I'll figure it out. I was 12. That whole year, nothing much happened. I just went to school, be good to my parents, obedient to them, did well in school, and then listening to those two tapes, think about girls, you know, and that was basically my 12-year-old boring life. But on the inside, I was spiraling into a Depeche Mode rabbit hole, and I liked it there. In the sound of a synthesizer, I was becoming more obsessed. I wanted to know more. Now, at the age of 12, now it's summer of that year, I was 12. And I remember watching Request Video on Channel 56. Channel 56 would play alternative music in the style of synth pop, new wave. They would play Duran Duran, Depeche Mode, Erasure, New Order. And here, and also Depeche Mode too. My taste in music was changing in real time by watching those videos religiously. I discovered that channel in the summer of that year. So I was discovering these new bands, and again, they were using these synthesizer sounds, and like, my God, like, I really want to do this. I really want to be in a band now. That was a dream. I said to myself, this is so futuristic. No real instruments. How was this music made? I kept asking myself that. It was an obsession. I'm going to find out. I want to be in a band like this. Then a New Order song played. It was called Bizarre Love Triangle. I said, what the fudge did I just listen to? It was catchy, hooky, synthesized music. I became an immediate fan again. Slowly but surely, Erasure next, and my taste in music was changing, and I was getting into more of this type of music. Specifically, I wanted to know more about this instrument called the synthesizer. On the next story,